to a Newsweek poll, some millennials want to make misgendering a crime. Out of 1,500 eligible voters polled, 44% of millennial respondents said referring to someone by the wrong gender pronoun, he, him, she, her, should be a criminal offense. Among all survey respondents, just 19% said that misgendering should be criminalized. 65% said it should not be criminalized.
Yeah, I mean, one way to frame this is that a small minority, 19% of people polled, said that they actually think there should be criminal penalties for this.
I wish it was 0%, but sure, 19%.
Yeah, like I think that's in line with the fact that most younger folks also realize that expanding our criminal state is not in line with our broader progressive goals.
Do they realize that? Because a lot of young people were thinking it should be.
The fact that only 19%, despite...
Well, that's the overall number, right?
Right. Well, polls show that that majorities of Americans, including overwhelming majorities of young people, think it's very important to use the right pronoun for people. But a much smaller number of people think that it actually should be a criminal penalty, which I think is in connection with the fact that, you know, people have strong personal feelings that you should respect folks. But, you know, the fact that despite those strong personal feelings, most people realize that you shouldn't be rounding people up and putting them to jail for that.
It reminds me of
a good thing.
Those. There's been a lot of... when I was doing more work on the free speech on college campuses beat, there would periodically be a new poll of young people's attitude, and what you would find is a healthy support for the concept of free speech, but that hate speech should certainly be prohibited, even though that's a very confused way of thinking about it, because hate speech is not a recognized and distinct category from free speech. In fact, all of the Supreme Court jurisprudence on the issue has hate speech included within free speech. Who decides what's hateful? Obviously, there are people who think blasphemous or anti-religious speech is hateful, but it is, of course, protected under free speech, et cetera. So taking a very and then now European countries, other countries similar to the U.S. in many ways, but lacking a First Amendment, take a different view of hate speech. You can be ticketed, fined, even jailed on hate speech charges in the U.K. In the U.K., people are ticketed. Even arrested under minor charges for posting like rap lyrics on their Facebook pages. That's happened before if they contain ethnic slurs, that sort of thing. So we don't do that here. We don't criminalize speech. Similarly, we do not, should not, cannot criminalizing the misgendering of someone, and however distasteful or offensive you might think, we don't criminalize offensive things. And I'm glad that overall most people don't agree, but even 44% of the 25 to 34. I mean,
we have been increasingly criminalizing offensive things. We have been ratcheting up, states have been quietly ratcheting up the penalties for certain kinds of protest, including protests against by environmental activists, against pipeline building projects and the like. People who chain themselves to pipes and to trees and things like that are getting multi-year sentences that are commensurate with people who rape children and murder folks, because there has been an effort to discourage that kind of behavior, as increasingly young people and older people realize that there is very little legislatively getting done to stop the impending climate crisis. And more pointedly, to the subject of this conversation, it's worth noting that while there is a poll that asks people to anticipate what they would feel, how they would feel about adding criminal penalties to misgendering people, there have, of course, been hundreds of bills passed in this year alone that attempt to actually criminalize various aspects of life for trans people. 19 states have laws restricting gender-affirming care, some of those with the possibility of a felony charge. The felony states where you can get a felony charge for providing said care. So it's a felony charge for doctors, health practitioners, things like that, include Oklahoma, Florida, Alabama, Idaho, and North Dakota. So I don't know. What do you make of this gap between, concern about speech issues and these libertarian values and be able to live your life as you want, and the fact that the right, while saying that they back those ideals, is simultaneously leading the charge on criminalizing people's medical choices in a number of states around the country?
I mean, I haven't looked at obviously every single one of these bills. In general, I wouldn't support criminalizing any such things. I think it should be Families should talk to doctors, decide what they think is best. It's none of my business. It's certainly none of the state's business. Other people can make different life choices that don't comport with yours. You don't have to agree with it or approve. But as long as they're not harming you and your families and your children, it's not an issue.
In Tennessee, Governor Lee signed a felony drag bill that would criminalize.
That is, I was going to say, I mean, these aren't necessarily depending how broadly you're defining speech and expression. Criminalizing drag is just criminalizing speech and expression. Is obviously unconstitutional and will not survive.
Yeah, I mean, it feels weird to say, okay, if you're a cake baker and you don't have to make a cake,
which you should not have to make a cake.
I can't dance and dress the way I want in drag in public. It's phrased as where you could be seen by a minor, which is like if I'm in a store and somebody walks by the window, if I'm in a restaurant. I mean, at what point are we infringing on proprietors' ability to host the kind of events that they want to host in their private spaces because of these kind of what I would describe as draconian bills where legislators are trying to impose their values on the broader public?
I mean, from a constitutional First Amendment perspective, I would guess that there can be local statutes prohibiting nudity in the actual public.
Yeah.
I mean sometimes these things are adjudicated topless. There's some people who feel strongly that women should be able to be topless, like outdoor and in public parks. So there are some thorny questions regarding this.
But drag isn't strict.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily nudity.
The people, guys in drag put a lot of effort into outfits and padding and bustiers and stuff. I don't think the point is to take it off.
Well, I mean, we've seen conservatives are, I'm not speaking from necessarily what I think, but a conservative would say that they've seen all these videos of not just drag, but of what looks like stripping, essentially, or sexy dancing with the kids and even tipping in some occasions that is nasty.
Are they going to pass
an
ordinance to say no sexy dancing in public, no stripping in public? Are we going to shut down Hooters across America where kids are allowed to attend?
Again, I think many conservatives, not me, many conservatives would gladly shut down Hooters if you could shut down those things. Others are just being hypocritical and don't mind if it's pretty ladies doing it.
I do believe that Mike Pence would be happy to shut down Hooters. He's a principled man in that respect.
But also a free market guy, so I don't know. He wrote an op-ed recently for my other publication, Reason Magazine, criticizing DeSantis' war on Disney because he's a free market guy and Republicans shouldn't turn their back on those principles. So
interesting. Well, if you survive that latest line of questioning from Tucker Carlson, I look forward to hearing more about that subject from him.
Well, meanwhile, Dylan Mulvaney has left the building. The transgender influencer posted a TikTok from Peru where she said she no longer felt safe in the United States. Let's watch.
Hi, is this an okay time? Okay, surprise! I'm in Peru, and I'm at Machu Picchu. Isn't this just so beautiful? I'm here by myself, and I used to do a ton of solo traveling. I'm telling you, it's the best. If you could ever do a solo trip somewhere, it is such a good way to get to know yourself better. But I came here to feel something, you know what I mean? And I definitely have. I've done shaman ceremonies that were like 10 years worth of therapy. It was wild. I've seen a lot of llamas, and the people here are so kind. I feel very safe here. It's a little sad that I had to leave my country to feel safe, but that will get better eventually. And I am dying for some Trader Joe's rolled chili lime chips. But other than that, I am so content. Still haven't been kissed yet, but I'm holding out hope. And most of all, this trip has me feeling like I'm my own best friend again. And that is the best feeling in the world. And I hope that you feel that way about yourself too. And I love ya. Okay. Bye. Machu Picchu. Wow.
How dare she?
No, I wasn't going to say that at all. No, I'm glad she's having a good time, and that was a positive video, and I didn't find anything objectionable about it.
I'm glad we played that because honestly, you can think that
seems very normal.
You can think that kind of testimonial format is a little like cringe or twee or whatever, but it seems so harmless. I mean, this is what kids do. They talk into the social media apps. They look to other people on the apps for support. And given all the ugliness that's out there, if I had a child, I think I'd much rather them hear like, oh, isn't it nice to be in Machu Picchu and to see beautiful things and to get to know oneself and to feel happy and calm than some of the things that get talked about over these kind of games.
When we get canceled and chased out of the country, Machu Picchu is the destination.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I've never been to Peru.
More Rising right after this.